And we will stop a couple of times during the presentation, a few times during the presentation, to see if anybody has questions. So if you can't type your questions, then at that point you can go ahead and ask.
All right, with that, I'm recording now, and I just want to welcome everybody to the NSBE Maximizing Your Membership webinar, and this is hosted by RTP NSBE, and that's the Research Triangle Professionals chapter. My name is Tony Arna McFarland. I'm the chapter president, and I have the pleasure of introducing our vice president, Douglas Davis, and he's going to facilitate us through this. As the vice president, he's over the membership zone, and we also have Jatasia Williams. She's going to join us as well. She is the membership chair, and as we get through the presentation, you'll get a better understanding of what that means and how NSBE is structured. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Doug and let him get us started.
All right, thank you, Tony. So as Tony mentioned, this is a presentation called Maximizing Your Membership. And what we want to do here is we want to show you what exactly NSBE is, what exactly NSBE RTP is, and some of the ways in which NSBE can benefit you, and some of the ways in which you can get involved. So the reason this came about is because we know there are new people in RTP, in NSBE RTP, as well as people who have been in NSBE for years. But since NSBE is such a large organization and we do so many things, even people who have been in NSBE for years may not know everything that we do, or may not know all of the background information about NSBE. So we just want everybody to get more familiar with NSBE and see and be able to become familiar with some things that may benefit you. So this is the list of things that we're going to go through. First, we're going to talk about the mission, and then we're going to talk about governance and the different executive boards and levels within NSBE. And then we're going to just look at our chapter and some of the ways in which you can get involved in some of the benefits that you can receive. All right, and as I said, I'm going to stop a couple of times along the way to for you to ask questions. And you can also just type questions in if you would like. So let's start off with just what exactly is NSBE. And as you probably know, it's the National Society. It stands for National Society of Black Engineers. And the reason that it was founded is because on the campus of Purdue University in 1975, there were several black engineering students, and some of them were, having some trouble with getting through the classes and other aspects of on-campus living. So they decided to found this organization to kind of help everybody out, have everybody become more familiar with each other, so that way we can kind of lift each other up. And it has gone on to this day to become a very large organization. So what we do, as it says, we promote the aspirations of collegiate and pre-collegiate students and technical professionals, meaning we're going to help both students and professionals become more familiar with engineering, become more proficient at engineering, and we'll go through the missions right after this slide. But we also function as a representative body on issues that affect the careers of black engineers. So we are also an advocacy group if there is some law or some other thing that may affect black engineers, then the National Society of Black Engineers will speak up on that. So some of the things that we offer: leadership training, professional development activities. So You will see some of those in the near future where we will have speakers that will show up for our general body meeting, mentoring, and currently we are in the process of mentoring college students, career placement services, and we'll talk more about the conventions and conferences that you can go to, and they will often be very good opportunities for networking, as well as meeting people from many different companies. We'll talk about the community service opportunities and more. So we're going to give you a little bit more information about all of that as we go through this presentation. So to summarize it, here is our mission. This is what we start our meeting with. At the beginning of every meeting, we all stand and we all say, to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. So that is what we are all about. All right, and so this is just a kind of a pamphlet or a paper that we give out to just show you what we do, and it has some of the things that I mentioned before, so I'm not going to go through all of it. Let's see, so some of the things that are mentioned on the right, one of the benefits is dual association membership with other organizations such as Society of Women Engineers and so on. Let's see. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not going to read through this whole thing, but we will get this presentation to you, or it'll be in video format, so you can view this and read through all of that. But I should go through all of the details that are listed here in later slides.
Hey, Doug, I would just like to chime in to just
Sure.
mention real quick, too. NSBE, as you mentioned, engineers at Purdue wanted to have like a support system. The dropout rate at Purdue at the time, this was in the 1960s, the dropout rate of African American engineering students was 80%. And they went to, two of the students went to the Dean of Engineering with their concerns, on, what's causing this dropout rate, and, wanted to address retention. That's still, well, the dropout rate is not that now, at Purdue and other schools, but there is still a concern, and that is still, very close to our mission as professionals, is to make sure the retention rate of Black students in engineering and technical fields stays good, stays acceptable. And it's because our pipeline needs to be full and filled with successors, and we also come to college bearing some burdens and some things that our counterparts do not. So, when we read that mission, you have to think about what does it take for you to succeed academically. Well, it would take for you to it takes having scholarships, your financial aid and tuition is paid. It takes you knowing which teachers are going to be supportive. It takes you knowing how to find tutors. And those are kind of the things that we would do, helping our collegiates out. So as we get through the presentation, I might want to interject some things to help the mission unfold. Now, how do we actually execute the mission?
Okay, thanks for that, Tony. I appreciate the details there. And yes, I mean, I'm sure we can all attest to the fact that that things are a lot more difficult if you're kind of going it alone without an appropriate support system. So NSBE is what can provide that support system for students as well as professionals.
Right.
Okay, so let's look a little bit at the governance of NSBE. and how the executive boards work, and just kind of who's in charge of what, I guess you could say. So for the professional organization, we have the local chapters such as Research Triangle Professionals, right? And of course, every year the membership will vote on the board, and we'll see a little bit later on, we'll see the members of the board. And so it's kind of a bottom-up type of concept where the membership votes on the board, and then the board of the local organization, which the term is from August 1st to July 31st. And then we have the regional organization, and we'll see a list of the regions, but Research Triangle Professionals are in Region 2. So they have their own board as well. And then we have the national board as well. And the organization was really started off as a student-run organization, and for some things it really still is a student-run organization, although the professionals have their boards as well, have our boards as well. So that's kind of the makeup of the organization and how the executive boards work. So here is the different regions. So as you can see, we are in Region 2, right? But you have regions 1 through 6 as well. And each one of us has our slogan. So let's say if you go to a national convention, you might hear some Region 2 people say, "Too hype." And so if you hear that, then you know that they're talking about us. So that's how the regions are formed. And also, let's see, Region 5 is Central America. Let me see. Trying to get this full screen. Sorry about that. We also have a region that includes Africa as well, well, actually several parts of, different parts of Africa are in different regions. So this is basically how the regions are organized.
And
So go ahead.
just to add to that last slide when you show the regions, just for a point of reference, NSBE has more than 17,000 members today, and there are about, I want to say, 500 chapters, about 150 NSBE junior chapters, and I think it's about 300 collegiate, and about 85 professional chapters.
All right, thank you. So as I said, Region 2 is the region that RTP is in, and like I said, you all often hear them say "too hype." It's more the college students than the professionals, I think, that say that. But you know, if you hear that, then you know they're talking about us. The different pages with information are here too, such as the Region 2 homepage and the list of chapters in Region 2.
And just for a point of reference, the colleges that RTP chapter supports in Region 2, okay, you got it right there. Okay, let me see if there's anything we need to add. Potentially Wait Tech, they've reached out to us about starting a chapter there. As a matter of fact, someone has joined our chapter who is an employee at Wait Tech.
Yes, definitely. So we are expanding and definitely helping the mission to go ahead. We also have, as you'll see a little bit later on, we are helping to start a NSBE Junior chapter, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. All right. So Okay.
I was gonna say our particular chapter, the original charter. I don't have that date. If Renee was on the call, she would know it. I think she might have been one of the original charter members. But I was a member of the rechartering that occurred in the early 2000s. It might have been around 2000 or 99, somewhere around in there. There was a rechartering then. Has there
Okay.
been another one since then? Seems like there may have been another one since then.
Uh, that one I would have to ask Jatasia. I think she did the research for that one, but it says 2013, so I believe 2013.
Okay. I was just wondering if that was one like, well, that was a name change. I was just wondering if it was one prior to that. But anyway,
Okay.
just so people kind of have an understanding that the actual first chapter here, it RTP NSBE, or the concept of black engineers in this geographic region having a chapter, that is beyond 20 years. Because I was in a rechartering 20 years ago, and it had already been chartered once when the group I was with did that. So it's probably over 30 years that we've had some form of a chapter in this area.
Okay, thanks for that background information. So we currently have 48 members, I believe, or let's see, either 46 or 48. But so we currently have a pretty good number of members when I'm looking at the past membership. So we are increasing in our membership and growing this year. And as this says, we are focused on reclaiming members, raising capital, and reaching back. So one of the things that makes this region special is we have so many companies in the Research Triangle area, and we are always trying to reach out to them to get more people involved. So if that's something that you think you can help with, for example, if you can reach out to your companies, say if you have a Black Employees Network or something like that, that is something that would be very helpful for us. We're always trying to get more information out there as far as what Research Triangle professionals are doing. So as well as different companies, we're also home to many colleges and universities. So here's a list of many of them here: Campbell, Meredith, UNC Chapel Hill. NC State is one of the largest college chapters in the area, probably the largest college chapter in the Triangle area, at least. William Peace, Central, Shaw, Duke, and St. Augustine's College is, St. Augustine's and Central are relatively newer chapters. Okay. Anything to add to that one? Okay, we'll go on. So let's look at some of the things that NSBE. Oh, well, actually, let me stop right here and ask, are there any questions so far? Anybody has any questions, go ahead and let me know. Okay.
I would just mention too on that last slide that the Charlotte professional chapter is inactive at the moment. So we have been kind of reaching to the UNC chapter, UNC Charlotte chapter, and helping those collegiates out. We don't have them listed there, but I think that's just interim until UNC Charlotte, until the Charlotte chapter, professional chapter, gets back on their feet. But in the interim, I've been interacting with some of the students at UNC Charlotte, so you may see some of them getting engaged.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you. So just to become a little bit more familiar with NSBE RTP, here are some of the things that we do. I mean, this is just a partial list, but we hold general body meetings every month, or pretty much every month, and oftentimes we'll have professional development speakers. I mean, in the past few years, we've had speakers talk about quality management. We've had speakers talk about home loans, and we're going to have somebody in January talk about the aviation industry, so that should be interesting. And so I always find these general body meetings very interesting and informative. We also volunteer with students to get them interested in engineering. We just in the recent history, just in the past couple of months, we volunteered at Marbles Museum. We volunteered at I'm sorry, Tony, what's the name of the spot over by St. Aug?
The Village of Washington Terrace. It's yeah, Village of Washington Terrace is a affordable housing, private affordable housing development.
Right, right. And one thing I will say is that everywhere we go, it seems like the students are very enthusiastic about learning more about engineering. We just need the people to volunteer, and we could help even more people if we had the people to volunteer. So that's one thing that I enjoy is helping the students to learn more about engineering and technology, just because they always seem very enthusiastic. We also partner with other organizations with similar missions, such as Society of Women Engineers, and I'm trying to think of some more that we have partnered with. Can't think of the list right now, but yeah. So we partner with other organizations with similar missions. Oh yeah, Black Girls Code. We partner with them as well. We currently sponsor a NSBE Junior chapter, and the way that works is oftentimes it's associated with a school, or it could be associated with a particular neighborhood, but you have younger students usually, but it'll be pre-college, and they are students that want to learn more about engineering and technology, and they take it upon themselves to have a chapter and do activities to learn more. Mentoring college students, and then also traveling to NSBE conferences to learn more and meet other engineers. And to me, that's a very fun thing to do, but also I also learn something every time I go to one, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later.
So Doug, just to kind of add
Sure.
a little more information on some of the partnerships, I get a lot of emails from organizations that invite us to activities, want to partner with us, want us to come and present, want us to send engineers over. Just to name a few, the Durham Engineers Club, we get invitations to their meetings. We also have an invitation on the table from Wake County Library to present during Black History Month on Black engineers and history on that. We also have been invited to participate in an industry to classroom project that Wake Tech Community College is doing. They're getting a grant. They're trying to get this grant. If they get this grant, they would ask that some of our members participate in some videos or was sharing some of their experiences as being a diverse engineer, and any project work from their jobs that they could possibly share that's not confidential. So just a little blurb on the kind of invites we get. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I was interviewed by a law firm from Atlanta that reached out to me because they were referred to us by a state agency that was doing research on disparities in North Carolina. So we get contacted for a lot of different things: policy related, education related, STEM related, and then some of the other fellow, I should say, fellow black focus organizations like the Capital City Warriors, the Black Journalists, the Black MBAs have reached out to us to, like, you know, work on things and see if we can align on activities.
All right, thanks, Tony. Okay, so to do a lot of what we want to do, it takes money, of course. So I want to talk a little bit about our funding sources and how we're organized financially. So we are a 501c3 organization, nonprofit. And so some of the ways that we receive funding: corporate support. We've had funding from John Deere, they're one of our larger sponsors. Volunteer grants by members. So some companies, if you volunteer, then the company will actually give to NSBE RTP. And that's so one of the things that you can do to help, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, is you can look and see for your company what kind of donations do they give. Do they give do they double your donation if you were to give to NSBE RTP, or if somebody were to give to NSBE RTP, do they give money if you count your volunteer hours? I know there's several companies that do that. IBM, I believe John Deere does as well, although I don't have an exhaustive list. But those are the types of things that you can check to see if your company does. In-kind donations, it doesn't always have to be money. You can give things like food, supplies.
Yep.
We can always use more. Like we have robots, for example, that we use for to help teach kids about programming. So the Lego robotics are very popular nowadays.
And they cost about $350 a piece.
Yeah, so we could definitely use some of those.
Just kind of on that note, Doug, we will be soon launching toys for tech for Christmas, and that will be an opportunity if people want to participate with an in-kind donation or part of a registry. We'll put a registry together of specific STEM toys that we would like to collect. But again, as he's mentioning, those are some of the things that we would need to further our mission in encouraging middle and high school students primarily into careers in engineering.
All right, thank you. Fundraisers. We just had one at City Barbecue recently. And then chapter dues, of course. Note that the local and national dues are paid separately. So you can pay your local dues on nsbertp.org/membership. And then nsbe.org has a page where you can pay your national dues. So as I was saying, please check your company and see if they will double your donation if you were to give to NSBE RTP, if they match donations, or give volunteer grants. And doublethedonations.com will tell you more about whether your company matches donations. Tony, did you want to
Sure.
demonstrate that?
Yes. So I'm gonna hold on one second here. Let me get it up on my screen real quick. So actually, I'm going to share my screen
Okay.
so you guys can see how this works. So they would like for you to pay for this. However, there is a little bit of a workaround. And actually, Doug, I think I gave you an S at the end of donations. It's actually doublethe.donation.com.
Okay.
So what I do is I go to this link, just as you see it here. You can put any company name here, but if you go ahead and add a company in, it will let you do searching in this box without having to purchase the software. So I'll just, as an example, if you just go to doublethe.donation.com, you may get in a loop that's going to ask you to try to enter your email address, get started, start a trial. There's a little bit of a workaround, like I said. If you go ahead and put in a company behind that, and one that I've searched a few times, I've searched Dominion Energy because I have someone relative that works there. And if there is a name, you have this part, matching dash gifts / Dominion / Energy or some other company name. If there's a name there, it will bypass that start a trial, and you can actually go in and search your company. The company name comes up, then it will give you the guidelines on how your company matches. Here you can see that for John Deere will match as little as $50 and as much as $1,000 1-to-1. So if I send NSBE $500, John Deere is going to send $500, and NSBE will actually get $1,000. So companies will do matches. Another way is to see if they have a volunteerism grant. And as you can see, when I hit that guidelines button, it took me to a different site. This is an internal site at John Deere. Companies often will use a third-party organization to manage their corporate giving. For John Deere's Benevity, other popular giving portals are Your Cause, Cyber Grants, Hours for Good. Those are just a few other companies. But in order for you to participate in matching or volunteerism grants, you can come to this site and do a little quick research, or you can check with your human resources, or maybe there's a foundation that your company has, and see what is required for NSBE to be eligible for it, and also for you to give. Now, I do know some people who have said they've donated or sent money to us. We have to be set up to receive the money, and we have to be approved to receive it. So just because you go in there and see NSBE in there doesn't mean we're going to get it. There's a huge database of all of the nonprofit charitable organizations. So pretty much any charity is going to be in that database. They may not necessarily be eligible to receive funds from your company. So the first step is to see if we're in there and if we're eligible to receive funds. If we're not, then you can refer us, you can recommend us. As a process for that, or you can just let me know and I can find out from my side using this tool how we become eligible. Once we are eligible, we have to renew that eligibility every year. So it becomes a process that we have to keep checking in on. And then this is not shown here, but most companies will either provide here's some more information about hours, but they will provide a certain number of hours for the employee, a limit per fiscal year. Some of them do it on the calendar year, and they may also have a minimum of how many hours you have to have before you submit for a grant. So the way the programs work is different. It may not be the same at every company. So it takes a little bit of research. But this is a very good way for your time that you spend attending the meetings and planning and being a part of the conversation to plan and actually going out, being hands-on. your hours could actually be turned into dollars. So I'm going to stop with that, and Doug, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Are there any questions from those on the phone about that? That's really probably our primary way, other than membership dues, of being able to get funds.
All right, so if there are no questions about that, or if you have any questions about anything before that, then just let us know. And if there are no questions about that,
And Doug, you can start, you can regain the sharing. And I'll also just mention real quick, some of the companies that we already are set up to receive funds from are Pfizer, John Deere. These, we just brought Pfizer in, IBM. We're working on Cisco, and we're working on Duke Energy. So those are the ones that are kind of on our radar right now that are participating in volunteer grants.
okay, sounds great. Okay, so next we're just going to talk about the members of the current members of the NSBE RTP Executive Board. And once again, I want to encourage you, if there's anything that you see that you would like to get involved in, then feel free to contact one of the members of the board, and just, let them know you want to help. All right, so I'm going to turn this over to Tony, turn it back over to Tony, and she'll talk about the current executive board, and I'll flip through the slides as you go.
Okay. And if any of the board members are on the call who want to chime in, we'll definitely, please feel free to do so. Was there something else prior to this?
I forgot the zones.
Sure, we can go ahead and zones.
Before that, so so let's talk a little bit about the different zones. So the executive board is organized in zones, and there are 5 different zones. And one of the reasons that we're organized into zones is, of course, just to group things, but also we have different committees that work with different zones. So if you see any of the things here, any of the zones that appeal to you, or something that you would like to do, then please get in touch with us. Like I said, we could always use some help, and it doesn't have to be anything big. Just if you want to help in any large or small way, then just let us know. So the first zone is at the administrative zone, and it's led by Tony, our chapter president. And through the administrative zone, we just have the leadership of all the other zones, as well as Tony, including vice president, secretary, treasurer, programs chair. I mean, and you could say the president emeritus, although he's technically not in the technically not on the e-board, but he often gives us advice and guidance. All right, communications zone. So this zone handles communications. We have emails, websites, social media. Sometimes the members in the communication zone will be a little bit more artistically inclined, or they're good at communication, or good at doing things with websites or social media. So anything to help us get the word out about all of the different things that NSBE RTP is doing, they will be in this zone. So this is led by the secretary and includes the public relations chair and the telecommunications chair. So secretary usually does things like, of course, takes notes and meetings, but also secretary sends out the monthly newsletter. Telecommunications chair handles everything related to the website, while public relations chair often does things that are related to social media. Membership zone, they handle member recruitment, retention, and membership socials. That'll be led by me, the vice president, and includes the membership chair. Finance zone manages our finances and fundraising efforts. Of course, that will be led by the treasurer, and it also includes the fundraising chair. Program zone is a zone that does a lot, just because we tend to have a lot of programs this year, and even more programs that we want to get involved in, as Tony mentioned. So this is led by the programs chair and includes the pre-collegiate initiative chair, collegiate chair, professional development chair, and technical outreach community help chair, and the torch chair, technical outreach community help. What they do is they just teach people how to use technology, just people in the community how to use technology. It doesn't have to be even engineering related. It's just any type of technology. So they are also looking for members on their committee. So like I said, if any of this stuff interests you or you think you could contribute, please get in contact with us. Okay. So now we're just going to go through each of the members of the executive board and just a little bit more about what they do. And Tony is going to talk about that.
Okay, thanks, Doug. So I'm going to kind of let the slides speak to these. I won't read through everything, but as the president, I have to kind of keep a balance of everything that's going on, what each of the chairs is doing, and making sure that we are aligned as we do that. One thing that I've really been focusing on is safeguarding and protecting the chapter. So what that means is making sure that we understand the business of being a chapter and a nonprofit. What does that really mean? What risks are there out there that could affect us? What things do we need to be better at so that we can position ourselves to get grants and things like that? Also, I need to make sure that we have emerging leaders who can backfill the roles as people decide that, hey, I'm ready to move on, I don't want to run again, or, maybe there's some new things that come up that we need help with. We have some things like that already. One of the biggest, I would say, risk to NSBE chapters, NSBE junior chapters, NSBE professional chapters, and collegiate chapters is lack of a succession plan. In order to be a chapter, you have to have your key offices filled. If you don't have those, you will become inactive and you can lose your charter if you stay inactive. So that is the biggest risk to NSBE chapters. I'm seeing that at the collegiate level. I'm seeing that at the professional level. Right now, we are the only chapter in North Carolina, which is sad. As big as North Carolina is, we are the only professional chapter in North Carolina. There were about seven NSBE junior chapters in the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill area at one time. So recently we did research because we wanted to connect with a NSBE junior chapter. The only one that we could find that was still active was the one at the North Carolina School for Science and Math. So we said we'll start a community chapter and try to re-establish a process and some momentum for that. So that is what I really focus on, is the life and the longevity of NSBE. And the next slide, Doug. Doug just kind of went through his role as a vice president, along with the membership zone. Like, Doug helps me with just kind of being like a project manager, if you will, on what the other chairs are doing, and keeping track of what we have going on. And then you may see in our general body meetings, he's kind of facilitating the time and making sure that we stay on task. So he can be a stage manager at times, he can be a project manager at times, he can be a counselor at times. Doug can fill in wherever we need him to. And he's been a president in the past, so he kind of knows what to do. Next slide. So Jamie Fuller is actually an employee at RDU Airport, and he comes to us from Richmond, Virginia, where he was secretary there. They were chapter of the year. That chapter was. He's over communication zone, as we said earlier, and he is responsible for making sure we get everything together and the right time so that we can send out the communications via email, social media, and now GroupMe, whatever forums we're going to use, coordinating that. And that's something that you're touching like regularly. I would say a few times a week. That's something you have to touch. And next slide. So Renee Johnson has been treasurer. She has a lot of experience with doing that. She's over the finance zone. She's also a Region 2 board member. And Renee and I probably talk almost every day. Just kind of like she gets me up to speed on just general NSBE things. And also we have a spreadsheet that we keep on our expenses. We just put together a budget team. We work together with Juan, who is the fundraising chair, on what that budget needs to be. And sometimes we're going to some free classes that we find online to help us be better prepared in this area. Kiana is over the programs, so she's a programs chair. Her role is kind of like planning at an executive level the budget for those and making sure that those committees are within their budget. And also she has to do a lot of heavy lifting with aligning the schedules and filling in any gaps when needed for any of those programs. So she's kind of like a project manager, if you will, and also, like I said, making sure things are happening in a timely manner for the programs and that they have what they need. And Jatasia Williams is our membership chair. She's working with Doug, increasing membership, making sure members are feeling engaged and keeping them engaged. She's out looking for new member benefits. I think she'll talk about that a little later. And she puts together our socials and wants to make members feel like they are getting, good value for their time with NSBE. Jatasia, did you want to share anything or add anything?
I guess just to go along with what Tony, hey, I'm Tasia, by the way. Just to go along with what Tony said, right now I'm in the process of trying to find companies who will help with membership incentives. Nobody's written me back yet, so if you guys know any companies who are willing to contribute, I guess like 5% or give like NSBE members 5% off or something like that if we go in there on like a Tuesday, or just something that we can give our members to tell them to go to their company. So yeah, if you guys have any information about any companies, please let me know. Yeah, that's about all.
Thank you, Tasia. Mm-hmm. All right, so Kim Wooten is our telecommunications chair, and this is a lot of heavy lifting. So as you're seeing, events on the website, she's working in the background putting that together. She's created a beautiful e-board portal for us. She's organized all of our files and documents in the Google Drives that the e-board members are using. Kim has designed our logos. She works in the background to make sure when we do a general body meeting with virtual capability that it's working. So she tests that stuff out for us, and she's always trying to improve the telecommunications experience. So this is a pretty hands-on role, and she's definitely looking for some help in this area. So people with this capability. She'd be glad to speak with you if you're interested. And her last name is actually Wooden, W-O-O-D-E-N. Next one. Joy and Kim actually are working probably closely together because they have to kind of synchronize information that goes out about our activities. She does the social media, putting together what's going to be put on social media and timing that, and also looking for new ways to publicize NSBE through social media and also just kind of other means as well. So her objectives are listed there. Anyone interested in helping her, she'll be glad to take the help. And Juan Hernandez is our fundraising chair. He's been putting together the campaigns you've seen, like the city barbecue. We also have one that just started with honey baked ham that started now up through December 31st. So that information will come out in our next communication. And also, he's strategically looking at the corporate giving effort. He's reaching out to members to see where they work and what kind of matching or volunteerism grants they offer. So part of our budget is, like I said, it's going to come from that. And then he's also looking at grants that we can apply for. This is the pre-collegiate chair, Marquise Buford. Marquise is he's been pretty busy. Like, there's so many people that reach out to us about support for a college fair, support for a middle school or elementary school or high school engineering night. And that was one reason we decided that we should just focus on launching NSBE Junior chapters and starting that out with our own chapter, community chapter, so that we can plant seeds in the community. It kind of makes sense now that so many people are reaching out to us. Like, this is weekly, and we have to turn a lot of it down. Like I said earlier, we had NSBE Junior chapters that are not active anymore. They're no longer chartered, and we're filling the gap of that by trying to meet that need. So what we want to do is, hey, let's put these chapters out there. The schools will not have to reach out to us because we will be working with these NSBE Junior chapters, and the NSBE Junior chapters can actually provide that missing component and that missing resource at the schools. So he's been pretty busy. Marquise has been probably working on something related to this probably 4 to 5 days a week. We are constantly talking. We're sending emails, and then most recently with the NSBE Junior chapter, we've been pretty busy, and we've had a lot of volunteerism around this as well. So sometimes the whole chapter doesn't even know what's going on in the background with this, but we pretty much have programming already brought to our attention. I'm not going to say we've accepted it all. I would say up through probably February, March timeframe, we have enough to do in this lane. If you want to help with that, please let us know. We do have a few, I would say, foot soldiers who come in and like doing that. And I think he's pretty good there, but if that's something that you like doing, again, we could use the help. So the next one is Kothar Hussein. Kothar is our collegiate chair. Kothar has to do a lot of heavy lifting as well. She has to reach out to the collegiate chapters to understand what they need. This is not always easy to get communication back in a timely manner, or just know who to reach out to and what activities they have going on. We try to plan our calendar so that it doesn't overlap with things that they have going on, but we're not always in the know with what they're planning. So she's kind of like our eyes and ears in that arena and staying engaged, with them and what they need. Kothar, I believe, is on the call. Kothar, you still on the call? Anything you want to add?
I'm still on the call. And then I think you did a good job of covering everything. And majority of the times I just make sure that the student chapters have what they need if they have any challenges, and if our chapter can help in any way relieve those challenges.
And right now, Kothar, you launched a mentorship program. So do you want to say anything about that?
So I'm looking for anyone that has free time, maybe around. Mentorship shouldn't be that demanding of a time if you're available to do it. So what I was going to do is get all the available professionals that would like to have a mentee around this area, and then match with an appropriate student that's going to one of our colleges that we sponsor. And then around February in Engineering Week, I was thinking it's going to be a Saturday event, but have an event where the mentors and mentees can meet up, and that way it can be before our national conference, and can give a lot of tips of things to do and how to network, and they can just leverage having that professional network.
Definitely a fulfilling opportunity if you want to give back. And this is, when we think about our mission, succeeding academically, a mentor can definitely kind of encourage and offer some tips to the student and kind of help them think through their crazy day. And also, one thing that I see, I'm mentoring a few students, is they don't always think ahead and think strategically. So kind of being a parent, sometimes just kind of giving them some tips on how to get through some of the things they maybe experience, but also making sure they get prepared for career fairs, that they are resume ready, that they are career fair ready, that they can find an internship, and then when they get ready to graduate, they have been doing mock interviews with you, and they're ready to land a job. So if you're interested in helping Coulter out with the collegiate initiative, there's plenty to do there. We will be sending out information on this in our next communication. And the professional development chair is Jeffrey Philippi. So Jeffrey, actually now we have SIG, so this is going to kind of help expand what we do a little bit more in the professional development lane, and we'll talk more about the SIGs. That stands for Special Interest Groups. And Jeffrey is on the call, I believe. Jeffrey, are you still on the call? If you are, Jeffrey, you might be on mute. Okay. Maybe he's not on the call, but he did give me a little information to say. For this slide, he says the goal of professional development is to extend the mission of continuing education and adding value and training for early and mid-career engineers once they enter the professional workforce. And okay, it looks like he's having some technical difficulties. We can't hear him. But basically, if you're interested in helping out in this area, you can reach out to Jeffrey on it. And like I said, we'll talk about the special interest groups a little later on. That's a new NSBE initiative, and it is a great way for professionals to kind of like really work on their relevance and their technical excellence. And we're looking for individuals to be ambassadors on those, and also to participate in the SIGs, and we'll talk about those a little later. Okay, next one. So as Doug mentioned earlier, TORCH stands for Technical Outreach Community Help, and this is also connected with the NSBE symbol, which has the torch symbol in it, and I'll circle back about that when we get to the end. But basically, for TORCH, we have done, we did one tech lounge at Washington Terrace already, and what we did there was we also had a PCI, pre-college initiative activity going on at the same time with the youth. So while the youth were doing their activity, we also had something for the parents, and basically we provided them with information on how to manage their devices, any questions they had about their cell phones, and any computer related questions. We talked with them about cybersecurity, and just kind of answered any questions they had about their devices that they use. They would like for us to come back and provide, another session. They said they really like that. Another thing that we're working on, Ray is actually co-chairing right now. Kirsten Ingraham is the chair, and coming January, Ray will be the chair. She's focusing on a Walk for Education, which is one of the signature programs of NSBE. And basically it includes going out into the community and providing handouts on college education, different degrees in the technical field, and then also just providing adults as well, with information for education. So that's something that we'll be working on, and we're hoping to have one in April That will be a joint event with our collegiate chapters. One thing I forgot to mention on Torch, you can keep the slide there, is that we are doing Toys for Tech, as I mentioned earlier. So that's one of our Torch activities. It will be STEM toys, it's community outreach, so we'll be donating those to organizations that will be working with for NSBE Junior.
And just to add to that, sorry, Tony, on December 8th, I think Tony mentioned it. I'm not sure if Tony mentioned it already, but December 8th, we'll actually be having a brunch in December where you can actually bring in some of those tech toys. We're going to have brunch in Durham at a place called Gear Street Garden and also go to Boxcar afterwards. So in order to help with my initiative of social events with the cause, we're going to go ahead and tie in the toys for, or the tech toys for tots in with that that social outing. So putting it in your calendar. It's December 8th from 12:30 until 3 or whenever you guys want to leave at Gear Street Garden in Durham, North Carolina.
Thanks, Tasia. We'll also be sending some information out on that, so you'll have that in email. And then last but not least is our President Emeritus, Elliot Locke. Elliot is also a Region 2 officer now, but I lean on Elliot a lot to just find out, you know, what has happened in the past, get some insight. He's kind of, you know, eyes ahead of us, or kind of observing, you know, things, and gives me and Doug some insight. You know, every now and then we'll exchange a few text messages or emails about things, and, you know, kind of keeping us on the right path. And you know, he looks out ahead and maybe offer up some ideas to help us get through some challenges or when things may not be as smooth. So as a President Emeritus, you know, you can do that. He actually will jump in and fill in to help out on some of the committees when needed. So he can be hands-on at times, and then also he'll help, you know, get some people up to speed with their role if they need some help with that. So he's a kind of a support role for us, and he's also, like I said, been very helpful in giving us insight on, you know, how to get through things. And our next slide. All right, Tasia, do you or Doug want to chime in on the different membership types?
I'll go ahead and speak for this part. So, for the membership, so basically your membership lasts from, or your membership year lasts from August 31st until July 31st, or sorry, August 1st until July 31st of each year. So once July 31st comes, that means that your membership is over and you would have to renew for August 1st. I think it's backwards. Anyway, yeah, you get it. Yeah. So, in order to become a collegiate member, you'd have to pay $18 annually. I'll let you guys basically read everything that goes along with that. But basically, collegiate members include undergraduate and graduate students. And normally, I believe, Tony, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but for graduate level students, you can choose whether or not you want to go into a professional or stay collegiate, but the choice is yours. Is that right, Tony?
That is correct.
All right.
If you, actually, when you graduate, though, you will actually get your first year for free in the professional chapter, but you have to go ahead and do that when you graduate. So that's just something to keep in mind for undergraduates.
Yeah, I missed out on that.
That's okay.
And then, as Tony said, going on to the professional membership, so that's a $50 fee annually, and it basically includes working professionals and graduate students if you don't want to be a collegiate member. And I know it says who majored in science and technology, but we also want people who actually believe in our mission. So you don't have to be a like engineering or technology or anything like that. Just as long as you believe in the mission of NSBE, then anybody's invited to be a member. And
Yep.
then again, as Tony said, any NSBE graduating seniors, your first year as a professional member is free. So that's awesome. Take advantage of that. I missed that mark, so hopefully you guys won't if you're not a member already or just graduated.
Let me also chime in too on this, Tasia. To be a member of NSBE, you don't have to be black. So I wanted to point that out. We had a few people asking us about that at Marvel's Kids Museum a week ago. And if you are a non-technical member, I believe that the membership is called affiliate member. But this is all on nsbe.org.
Yep. All right, and to go along with the professional membership also goes along with the RTP NSBE local membership. So that's basically a $20 annual fee, and it's for all the professionals. So basically, if you're a local member, then you also want to be a professional member as well. And I'm pretty sure that you also have to make sure you pay professional member fees if you plan on joining the e-board someday. So that's just a thing to note. So next is the lifetime membership. If you have it like that, awesome. It's $1,200. So basically the lifetime membership is for individuals who want to make the ultimate commitment of joining NSBE for a lifetime. So, yeah. And then next is the international membership, which is free. It's just for international members. And it's for people outside the U.S. and in Canada. Okay, so next we're just going to go over the membership commitment levels. So one thing that we wanted to point out to everybody is that you don't have to be like attend every meeting or like be on call for everything if you want to join NSBE. There's different levels. For instance, you can be a high commitment and highly engaged member, and that's somebody who, for instance, is on the e-board or they're go to all the in-person meetings and help out a lot. Next would be the medium commitment, which is somewhat engaged. You may attend a monthly meeting and volunteer, but all in all, you're just kind of minimally engaged. Next is the low commitment person. So that's somebody that we want to say they're on call. And they may volunteer 1 to 3 times per year. Basically, that's little in-person engagement, but they still pay their membership dues. And next is the no commitment, which is they participate at will. We may never see them at all, but they're still paying their dues, and so that means that they're actually still helping out the chapter. So I guess what I want to say is that you don't have to be like highly engaged in order to contribute. Just paying your dues every year helps keep the chapter going. So yeah, so just keep that in mind. If you're like, well, I don't know if I should join because I don't have that much time. You don't have to have a lot of time. If you're just willing to give, we'll take you. Okay, next is just a little bit of information about the RTP members. So this picture is actually from our membership drive that we did and Dave and Buster's. We had a great time. We had a good turnout. We also got a lot of new members from it. But this is just to show you the amount of diversity in different engineers that we actually have. So we have civil engineers, application engineers, professors and deans, logistic engineers, process engineers, product engineers, software, quality, biomedical, and mechanical engineers. So I put this on here just to go to show that there's so many people, so many different backgrounds that you can meet and network with by joining RTP or by being a member of RTP. So I thought that was pretty cool to find out. Okay, and also some of the benefits that we offer. You can also find this on the NSBE site. But we have, as I just said before, so many different network opportunities and different engineers and scientists that you'll be able to meet. Scholarships as well, different career fairs and conferences that you can attend. Again, all that networking that you can get. Subscription to NSBE magazines, you can find that on the national website. Also, leadership opportunities, discounted registrations, networking, online job placement, access to NSBE conferences, products, discounts, and special interest groups, which are the SIGs. So yeah, I guess one thing I want to know is you kind of, like, you get from NSBE what you put in. I know that from the first year I was here, or the first year I was a member of NSBE, I had the opportunity to speak to the Duke grad students. Like, I'm just like happy that I'm even at Duke, and here I am talking to the students there. So it's kind of, you put out what you put in, or you get out of it what you put into it. And I know that I'm grateful for all the opportunities that it has given me. I gained a mentor. I got Tony as a mentor, and she's awesome. I actually have a lot of friends, and like before I thought I was by myself. So, yeah.
That's great, Tasia. I also want to just point out too, on that last slide, if you're going back to school or thinking about going to graduate school, they do have scholarships for graduate school. So when you go into your member portal, in the back office, there's scholarships, the job listing, quite a bit of information in the portal itself. So more to come on that if we need to have another session just to kind of walk through the portal, because there's a lot of information on the website that's sometimes kind of hidden.
All right. And Tony, isn't there something happening, I think, on November 23rd or the 22nd? Somebody's actually, are they speaking? What are they speaking about? I forgot the company.
The project management class?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, and this is only open to financial active. When I say active, that means you've paid your $50 and your $20 dues. We were invited by another organization. Like I said, being a NSBE member gives you access and connections. So there's another organization, I think it's called 100 Black Men, invited us to participate in a free project management training. I think it's about a 4-hour class or something like that, and it's going to be held here locally. But you have to be a member of our organization to participate in that. So if anyone is interested in that, please let me know, and we will be sending out a communication on how you sign up for that. So another member benefit. All right, so membership involvement. Tasia has pointed out the benefits, but this is just a listing of the things that members have been doing, how you can get involved. You know, you don't have to do everything. You just kind of do what fits into your life, and we understand that people have transitions in life and have other things going on. So if you cannot be consistent, we understand. But we just want to make sure you know what's available to you and what the opportunities are. This is also just kind of a review of some of the things we've done. And we do also have a little video to kind of give you a visual of what we've been doing. And that is on our website. So feel free to take a chance to check that out. And the next slide. Here's how you can get involved. If you're actually interested in joining a committee, you can reach out to me or Doug or Jatasia on connecting you with the right person on that committee and what you can do. We actually do need to start getting more people involved in the committees, because in, let me see, about not even 6 months, around April time frame, it'll be time for us to identify chairs for our next term. So we need to go ahead and start grooming people to um, fill in some of the new openings we're going to have when it's time to do that with the e-board. So please get involved, and if you have any questions on that, reach out to us.
All right, so thanks, Tony and Tasia. So I'm just going to talk about a few more of the things that we do briefly, and we mentioned these on the previous slide, but I want to go a little bit more in detail. So one of the benefits of being in NSBE is you get to be involved with the different conferences that NSBE has. And I really hadn't gone to one. I had been a member of NSBE in college before, but I really hadn't gone to one until the past few years. But here are 4 of the different types of conferences that we have. Regional Leadership Conference is more for the executive boards. Fall Regional Conference is, I think that one is more students. It's usually more student-based, but we do help organize and help them out when necessary, and especially when they need professionals to volunteer at things. We also have the Professional Development Conference, which is a huge one, and I'll show some pictures from that one. So I went this year, was in San Diego, and some of the things that you can do there, of course, you can meet a whole lot of like-minded professionals that are also engineers, but they also have workshops where you can learn all kinds of different things. For example, there was a vice president of, I believe it was General Dynamics, I think it was the company, but she was talking about her experience with being a vice president in a large company and how she basically went through the ranks. And she has some very interesting experiences to share. And with a lot of the presentations, this is one of the few places that you'll get this group of presenters. So it's a unique opportunity. And a lot of times they're just fun. So and they'll have recruiters from various companies if you're interested in getting a job as well. So that's similar to the annual convention, which has students as well as professionals, where you have workshops, you have people recruiting, you have a lot of chances to network, and you have things that are fun. So these are great opportunities. And I think it's a unique opportunity. I've never seen anything like it before. So here are just some pictures from our last professional development conference. There are people from the top left is people from Research Triangle Professionals. We have also a volunteer event where we helped students learn more about engineering. And then at the bottom is our fun event. We had a pool party that night. So we have some of everything: networking, fun, learning. And the next one will be in Miami, so I'm sure that one's going to be a whole lot of fun. This was mentioned before. So I'm going on to the next slide. This one was mentioned before, special interest groups, but I just wanted to list all of them out here. And some of the things that special interest groups do is, like I was saying before, advocacy for a specific policy position, but then also you get a chance to go a little deeper into your specific area than the general group, right? So you get to get a little bit more technical with some of the workshops and events. And you get to meet people that are in your area of expertise.
Doug, I would also like to chime in and say this is an opportunity as well to learn about an area that you may be interested in. Maybe you are in, for example, let's say you're in process improvement and you need to get more engaged with information technology because something has come up at your job and now you need to know more on that side. So this is a opportunity for you to like connect with within the group you already are an expert in, or also to learn about another area. Me personally, I'm interested in entrepreneurship, and I'm also interested in WISE. And there are some things at my job now that may require me to get a little bit more up to speed on IT networks and different types of platforms on that arena. So you can leverage that in a lot of different ways.
Okay, thank you, Tony. So this slide just lists some of the resources where you can learn more about NSBE, as well as the different things that the national organization is doing and that RTP is doing. So we have our Facebook page. We post a lot of events on there, Instagram, website, LinkedIn, as well as the national website. So most of these you can Google or search on Facebook, but we should be making this available as well, so you can see this list later.
One recent addition to that, Doug, is the GroupMe, and I can see
right.
the link for that. So we do have a public GroupMe now, and that includes members of our collegiate NSBE chapters, parents, supporters of RTP, NSBE Junior, and just our general membership as well. I would say general supporters as well as our membership.
All right, thank you. Okay, so that was basically a lot of what NSBE RTP is doing. We tried to mention some of the ways in which you could get involved, as well as some of the benefits that you can get as a member. So we hope that was informative. And if you have any questions, then please feel free to go ahead and chime in and ask. Does anybody have any questions about anything in the presentation? Okay, well, if there are no questions, thanks to everybody that joined us, including the e-board. Thanks for helping to get this presentation together. And we hope to see you at one of our meetings or at one of our events, volunteer events, and please stay in touch.
So Doug, let me just kind of list those out.
Oh, yeah,
quick.
right.
Yeah, just a few quick announcements. So we do have coming up, actually tomorrow, if any e-board members want to go or any general body members want to go to the chapter meeting at North Carolina A&T State University, Coulter and I will be going to that. We'll be leaving Raleigh about 4:30 from Carytown Mall, and the meeting starts at 7. We just want to get there and beat the traffic. So that's tomorrow, the 13th, and then on the 16th, we'll be participating in the STEM Mega Fair at Carytown Mall that's being hosted by Cortec Robotics. They've asked us to have a booth set up that will also provide information about NSBE Junior. And if I can get a couple of people who want to participate on the panel, they'll have a panel discussion in the Parents Lounge, and they just want some professionals that can come share their experience. And then on November the 19th, we have our next general body meeting that will be at 6:30 at John Deere Cary. We also have 2 campaigns going on, I would say fundraising things that are going on. We have the Honey Baked Ham fundraiser that's going on between now and December 31st. What you have to do is purchase a gift card. I got an e-card. You can go to any location, and once you get the e-card, 20% of that comes back to the chapter. Or you can order a plastic card if you prefer to do that. That takes longer to get. But once you get that gift card and you purchase it between now and December 31st, 20% of that will go back to the chapter, and then you can use that at any location. The other thing is going to be Toys for Tech. Information will be coming out soon on that. We also have the mentorship program sign up that's going to end on November 29th. That's going to come out in our next correspondence. And then we have the social that's coming up on December the 8th, the brunch. That's pretty much it. I did not go through the torch, but if you want to understand the NSBE torch and what the symbol means, just go to nsbe.org about, and you can read the background on the NSBE torch and what it all means. So with that, Doug, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Tony. So as I was saying, thanks everybody for calling in. We appreciate your participation, and hope to see you at one of our meetings or at a volunteer event, and please stay in touch. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the week, and we will talk to you later.
Thank you. Everyone have a great one. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Doug.
Great job.
All right, see you later. Thanks.
Thank you.